Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and we are now going to go for our special coverage regarding the latest visit by President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, who is currently on an official visit to Kuwait. The president arrived to Kuwait on Tuesday for talks with His Highness Kuwait's Emir Sheikh Nawaf Al-Ahmad Al-Jaber Al-Sabah, accompanied by a high-level delegation. The president's advisor, Ambassador Bassam Radi, said that the president's visit centered on means of fostering bilateral ties, in addition to probing a number of regional and international issues of mutual concern. And we're now delighted to be joined over the telephone by His Excellency Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant to Foreign Minister. A very good afternoon to you, Mr. Ambassador.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Fine, thank you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Ambassador. How do you see the timing of President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi's visit to Kuwait, sir?
Very important, because we are facing in the region many problems in many Arab countries also. But also we are preparing for the coming Arab Summit, which we hope that it will come in time, because really we lack this sort of conferences in order to face and solve many problems we are facing in the Arab world. We have problems in Syria and Lebanon and Libya, Somalia, Yemen, Sudan. All these countries are not in good health. Then the countries who are in good health, such as Egypt, Kuwait, the Gulf states, can give a hand in order to ameliorate the situation, because as you well know, the Arab security cannot be divided, and we are keen to see stability in all these countries which I mentioned. I hope that this will be the main subject during the negotiations and the meeting between our president and the Kuwaiti Emir.
Yes, indeed.
Also, on the bilateral level, of course, there are a lot to be discussed. Kuwait is a very important economic and financial partner. Also, on the political level, Kuwait is a very dear Arab country to us. It was born during the 60s, when Egypt sent its army to protect the border of Kuwait in the 60s. Second time we sent our army also after the invasion of Saddam Hussein to Kuwait. And when the whole world wanted to choose which army will enter the capital of Kuwait, between 36 armies were there. It was the Egyptian army who entered the Kuwait city and the Kuwait capital in order to liberalize. Then we have now the issue of trade, very important, free trade area between the two countries under the umbrella of the Arab League. Kuwait is becoming one of the most important investors in Egypt.
Yes.
We are proud of our community, Egyptians living in Kuwait and helping its development. Many dimensions of the relations. I hope it will be much better, much expanded. And we wait for this keenly to see what new issues our two leaders are going to touch.
Indeed. Your Excellency, President Sisi has asserted Egypt's firm position on supporting the security and the stability of Kuwait and the entire Gulf region, which is, of course, considered, as he said, part of Egypt's national security. How important is this, and what message do you think the President wants to reveal by this statement?
Of course, this is normal, and as you well know, that within the Arab League we have a sort of a treaty, military treaty, in order to support the situation in any Arab country which needs our support. And as our President said it quite well, once he said that it's few steps and we are there whenever any country in the Arab world is in need of our army or our support. This is normal, and I am quite sure that the Kuwaitis, the Gulf countries, are satisfied with the support of Egypt whenever it's needed.
Absolutely, Mr. Ambassador. Now, earlier in Cairo, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi met with the Speaker of the Kuwaiti National Assembly, also discussing bilateral ties and regional issues. How do you see the development of ties between Egypt and Kuwait in different domains, especially the political ones, and parliamentary ties as well?
This is one more circle of the Arab relations, because a few days ago we had the meetings of the Arab parliaments in the Arab League premises,
yes.
And we are supporting this quite well. We hope this will encourage the whole Arab world to have a sort of a common understanding about any problem we are facing or any challenge we are facing. And the Arab Parliament is one of our tools. It is a sort of a bridge between the Arab governments and the whole people of the Arab world, because after all, the parliamentarians are representing the people, and they are in a good situation to be a good connection between what our governments would need and what we want to, what messages we want to send to the Arab people anywhere in the Arab world.
Indeed. Mr. Ambassador, boosting ties on the economic and as well as developmental fronts are also set to top the agenda of the talks. Your Excellency, how important is it to coordinate on these fronts for both Egypt and Kuwait, in your opinion, sir?
It is very important because, in my humble opinion, that we have exhausted all the possibilities to enlarge trade. But now we have the reality that 70% of what the Arab world is importing, we do not produce, such as heavy machines, transport means, and food security. Of course, we need to cooperate in those three different dimensions. If we do that, then the trade will be enlarged, investment, of course, will be in a better situation, and this is the way in order to strengthen and deepening the Arab relations in the whole sense, and the Egyptian-Kuwaiti relations, of course.
Your Excellency, do you agree that the climate of Egypt nowadays has provided more diverse and promising investment opportunities for Arab investors in different sectors than before?
Of course, I cannot neglect any chance in order to bring more and more investment, even for the environment. Egypt is hosting very important meeting by the end of this year in Sharm el-Sheikh, COP27. And of course, we want to engage our Arab partners and brothers in all these efforts in order to give or to establish an Arab front to deal with all the interesting matters to everybody.
Indeed. Mr. Ambassador, concerning the Ethiopian dam, we've seen Kuwait reasserting its support to Egypt and Sudanese water security as part of Arab national security. How important is this position by a country like Kuwait?
Of course, there are, in general, the Arab position in general, and the Kuwaiti and the Gulf states who are keen, like us, to invest in Ethiopia, to encourage Ethiopia to come to a reasonable position. I don't know why I am satisfied that this file, Egypt can deal with it with its able diplomacy, and we have support, of course, of our brothers in Kuwait and in any Arab country.
Indeed. Your Excellency, could you tell us a bit about the Egyptian-Kuwaiti Business Council and how they are working to increase communication and interaction between potential investors and businessmen from the two countries?
This is a very important dimension of our relations because, as you will know, in order to encourage more relations in trade and investment and economic cooperation, the word is knowledge. And in order to make all the parties in our market, whether in Egypt or Kuwait or in any other country, we have established this sort of meetings between businessmen, between also several ministries under the coordination of the Ministry of International Cooperation. All these tools can make the whole market knows the details about what we are producing, what are the chances and the possibility of investment, of trade, of economic cooperation. I don't ignore here also the cultural dimension, where we host a lot of Kuwaitis studying in Egypt, and Kuwait is hosting thousands of our teachers helping Kuwait in its education process also in Kuwait itself.
Indeed. Mr. Ambassador, how do you think Egypt and Kuwait can cooperate and collaborate together to boost more solidarity among Arab countries, as well as advancing joint Arab action? As you mentioned, we've just hosted the Arab Parliament fourth meeting in Cairo at the Arab League headquarters. How else do you see the two countries, Egypt and Kuwait, working towards furthering Arab relations?
I see it possible. Why? For a simple reason, that Egypt is in a very good relation with every country in the whole Arab world, even in the world. And Cairo, as you well know, is the most populated capital of the world with diplomats. We have a lot of diplomats, and if you see the Saudi or the Kuwaiti or the any other embassy in Cairo, you will find that it is as big as the Egyptian diplomacy, the whole Egyptian diplomacy. This means that they are interested in our position with them and the relation we are changing. So Egypt and Kuwait are in a very good position to be the good arbitrator and the goodwill missionary in order to bring all the Arab countries as a solid countries under one flag, under one united government. Egypt and Kuwait are in a very good position to do this job.
Yes, absolutely. Mr. Ambassador, you said at the beginning of our discussion that Egypt and Kuwait are concerned by the developments in the Arab region, in the neighboring countries. How do you see Egypt and Kuwait, coordinating their efforts to settle regional problems and achieve security and stability around the region? As you mentioned, lots of different issues and problems and crises in the Arab region.
I am quite sure that we have daily exchange of views. We have even from hour to hour by our ambassadors. We have very able embassies in Kuwait and in Cairo. At the ministerial level, always we have these discussions by many ways. And now we are glad to bring this to the presidency level, the leaders of the two countries. This is very important, as it assures that any agreement between the two countries will be under the auspices of the two leaders. This will accelerate the process, of course, in order to benefit from it at the utmost way we can have it.
Yes, and we've seen, as you said, Your Excellency, lots of different opportunities available for Egypt and Kuwait to coordinate with regards to security in the region, especially because at the end of the day, all the Arab countries are affected by the situation in the region. In your opinion, Mr. Ambassador, what would be the most prominent or pressing country in the region that you think would need their utmost attention?
Well, we have many files here.
Yes.
Syria, of course, and the Syrian seat in the Arab League is empty. Lebanon needs good support, especially financial support, as really Lebanon is facing trouble. In Libya, you have this disagreement between the different parties, and we need to give them our word that they will be in a better situation if they come with one united government. In Sudan also we have to intervene between the army and the civil society. In Yemen we have a severe war which has to be stopped. The problems are more than you can imagine, but I think we are up to it, and we shall give whatever it takes in order to come with good solutions for the sake of the Arab world.
Indeed, absolutely. I'd like to thank you very, very much, Your Excellency, Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, the former Assistant Foreign Minister. Thank you so much, sir, for your time and your insight on our special coverage here on Nile TV International. Ladies and gentlemen, do stay tuned. More coming your way on Nile TV, and lots more coverage throughout the day on this very important visit by President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi to Kuwait. My name is Angie Meher. Thank you for joining us.